and we're able to know as a team what's going on. The other thing with taking our department head meetings back to trainings is we offer protection to the county, because the two areas we're hung out there, as you well know, is land use and personnel. Right now, we're not offering any trainings to our supervisors on how to manage their supervisees. By going back to trainings, we provide that. So, what do you guys think about this whole thing? Any thoughts? And if you want, we can also have department head updates to the commission. I think that would be smart. I don't think we'll get probably as much information, but really those should be in full view of the public. One thing with the trainings that we used to do is we had a round table to start. It wasn't necessarily a departmental update, but it was an opportunity for departments to update everybody on things they need to know. So for example, the commission would update on why we have a timestamp for claims. That was one of our updates. Recently we had a rabies incident where a couple of departments didn't work together. Those are things that we could take care of in a round table prior to an official in-house HR training. So, thoughts, debate, input, questions. And here's that statute. I don't think I included that. If I did, on the second sheet. And those HR trainings, we commissioners all three need those as well. The beauty too with the HR trainings, a couple of years ago, Mark Lincoln, when he was a brand new supervisor, requested a series of trainings from Michelle. Another department head had requested a training on how to motivate employees. And then what we do is she had kept those to 1 hour, and then she broke them into part 1, part 2, part 3. So department heads were walking away from their hour with something in their back pocket to help them do their jobs. So were we, as commissioners.
Well, I guess the idea of these meetings, the whole idea was just to have an information exchange between department heads and elected officials. Find out ways that we could help one another, which I think we did pretty good at.
I do too. I think it was invaluable, and I think the timing couldn't have been better. I really do.
You know, if these meetings are open to the public, then that won't happen.
I agree.
That'll be the end of that.
So how would you advertise the meetings then, or how would you
An in-house training, we could certainly advertise, but we wouldn't have to because it's not a commission meeting. It's not a board meeting. It is ministerial, and it would be an HR training. It would be Michelle Edmonds' meeting. And again, it wouldn't be a meeting, it would be a training. I tend to use those words too loosely, but it would be not a meeting, but a training. So, yeah, we could certainly, or we could just have her call them and make sure that all our departments know. They think they need a particular day, particular time, so that they can plan on that each week. And so that if somebody discovers a need in their department, that they have the ability and the time to contact Michelle and say, hey, if you haven't planned the next training, I really need one on discipline, or whatever. I mean, there's a list of like 30 items in HR that a person could have a training on. Michelle's got most of them already done. It's just a matter of bringing everybody together. And through those discussions, there's an opportunity for give and take. She doesn't just get up there and dictate. And that's why training takes 1, 2, and 3 parts. She really does try and draw people out. Well, in that process, there's an opportunity for exchange as well. And so I think with what you have started, Daryl, with that information exchange, I think that could move us into a whole new training atmosphere of more open exchanges. And I think that would have to be an expectation we share with department heads. Because we want this to continue.
Can we do that in an hour? And a lot of times, we get going there, and we usually go over our hour for sure.
We do.
We have almost every time.
I think that needs to be put to our department heads. 1, is that okay with you guys, with your workload?
Yeah.
2, Michelle, what do you think? In my opinion, it doesn't hurt to have the same topic over a 3-month period. It doesn't hurt to have part 1, part 2, part 3. Just do a little bit of review, you do your part 2, the next week you do a little bit of review of part 1 and 2, and then 3. It just helps to solidify it and gives people a chance again over that month to formulate questions from what they learned. So I think it'd be something we could talk to our department heads about and ask them, do you want a 90-minute meeting? Does that work for you? Or do you want to keep it to an hour? Yeah. And then we can play it by ear. Nothing says that we can't do things and change up.
Okay. Yeah, I get some input from our department heads.
Okay.
And
And maybe ask Michelle to put
Sure.
that to them. Again, it shouldn't be a commission meeting.
right.
It should be an HR meeting that we all attend. So maybe put these questions to Michelle and ask her to reach out to everybody. We can give her the list of emails. And then think about the second part and how we want to deal with that. I brought this with me. You guys are going to be going to training, and I'm going to guess that Dan Clark's going to be there. This book is called Courageous Collaboration with Gracious Space, and a lot of people do not like the gracious space. It sounds really, squishy and squeezy and sweet, and nobody likes that. But the concept is exactly what Dan Clark did at the training last year. The idea of gracious space is defined. This is a book that, if you do Leadership Montana, that you go through, and the whole year is spent on this book. Dan Clark probably has this memorized. This is where the idea of bringing the stranger to a meeting, invite the stranger, comes in. And what you want to do is try and grab as many ideas as you can. So I brought Dan's visual aid. This is when you have 2 people. These are the 2 points of view that you get, 1 and 2. When you invite the stranger, you invite all these other points of view for whatever your topic is. So there's a 2-sided street to gracious space, and this is something that a lot of people are grappling with, not just Broadwater County. And I understand it may be a part of your training. The counties and cities can invite the stranger and have as much input on any given subject as we can get, and that's what we strive to do. But when you have somebody who is in attendance, whose desire is not to propose a different point of view, but just to stop the process, to halt local government, to throw grenades, gracious space fails. Because you got this side of the table trying to invite the stranger and engage in gracious space, and you got all these grenades flying at the commission or the city council that just want to bring local government to a halt. How do you jive the two? You can't, so it breaks. Then it goes back to one of the things we did in our training last year. Corey bought everybody a book on leadership, and we went chapter by chapter every month. We didn't get through the whole thing, but the last chapter was you're only as strong as your weakest link. The need for team is essential right now in this era of local government. What you just said plays to both these things brilliantly. You gotta have a team, gotta have gracious space, but it's so easy to throw grenades and blow the whole thing up. So it's a little commentary that flies into how do you jive rights to participation, rights to privacy, and right to know when you know that a person whose right to privacy is violated. What was the amount Great Falls paid that woman? $500,000. Which one of these carries the most weight? All of them. Where we could easily be on the hook. Because those don't play fair or well in the playground. You violate one of those to make sure you insure the other two, and you're out on a limb. So, it's not easy, it's not one-dimensional. You can't use a literal interpretation, you've got to look at intent. What's our intent?
Well, I think as long as we keep it as an HR training and we're not making any decisions at the meeting, it's simply a discussion, I think we should be okay.
I agree. Are you guys good with reaching out to Michelle and sharing
Yeah.
with her this discussion?
Yeah.
Okay. I did send her an email, I think on Friday, Wednesday maybe, I think it was Wednesday. And she was gone for Thanksgiving, so, who wants to reach out to Michelle?
I'll do it.
Okay. If you'd CC us so that we're aware of the conversation, that would be
Sure.
great. And you might include Michelle Beebe, because she was the one before that was sending out the reminders.
Okay.
As HR admin, she would be a strong, would probably be the coordinator for Michelle. And she and Michelle work together. If you guys ever want to borrow this book, it's fabulous. It really is very good.
Was there anything else? If not, we will adjourn at 11:10. Jessica, did you get your tag, Phil?
10 minutes before the end of shooting light, Massive. 6.5 hours later.